Hi everyone, this is Debbie from Project 39 Mini Albums. I've been playing with some digitals from Cara Brandon Creations. I've already done a tutorial and walk through the purple one. This one is how I made the orange mini album. If you're ready, we'll get started. All right, let me show you what this book is made of so then we can see how we're going to recreate it. First of all, the measurements. It is 8.5 inches tall, and it is 6 inches wide, and it has a 2-inch spine. It is comprised of 4 signatures, and they're very simple pages. I don't have a hinge in this, so it makes it super simple. There's a pocket in the front, and really not even a pocket in the back, just one created with ephemera. So this one has a tag, this has a corner pocket, this has a pocket on the side. This has 2 side loading pockets to put in a tag. This is actually a stacked pocket with a small cheater pocket down here. These pages both will open to the side. This one I did cut into the image, and then that one opens to the side as well. There's this little flap. This one comes up like that. So we'll go ahead and recreate it. So to start, you will need 2 pieces of chipboard that are 8.5 by 6 and 1 piece for the spine that is 8.5 by 2. I've already put 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 cardstock together. I just added a 1/4 inch double-sided adhesive on the long side and then did my best to make sure that they were both even though it's not that important, and I just stuck them together. I did burnish down this tape. I think I probably could have done a better job, but we'll burnish it once we put it on the book. So I'm taking off the double-sided adhesive that I already put on here, and I'm going to center this, almost center it. There actually is, actually I'm going to turn this over because I had some tape that came through, and you can see it. So actually the paper comes 1/4 inch over, so this is actually where the 2 pieces come together. So I'm going to use that as the center. And again, if it's not perfect, it's okay. I'm just going to lay this down on to what I think the center is. And then before I put anything else down, I'll add some more 1/4 inch score tape to the side. I'll grab my bone folder and burnish that because this is the best chance we have of getting a good burnish on it. And then I'll go ahead and peel off the backing. And then what I'm going to do is peel off the backing of this tape, and I'm going to put it overlapping where we've got this tape. Come on. And yes, I use a couple of different kinds of the double-sided adhesive. This is an equal opportunity tape community. Well, some may not say so. So this is 1/4 inch. I'm not going to put this over at 1/4 inch. I'm really going about 1/8 inch away from the spine, so it will stick onto what we've got there. So that's one piece. Burnish it a little more. Peel off my backing. Come on. There we go. And then again, I'll put this down, overlapping that score tape. It's really going to stick because we have score tape on the back of the chipboard and we have score tape on our paper. All right, now that that's down, I'm taking my bone folder and doing a good job of burnishing. And then I'm going to take it and locate the edge. And I'm going to grab my scissors and just do this real quick and easy and just going to cut off. I'll show you this way. About 1/8 of an inch away from the corner of the chipboard. Sort of a straight diagonal cut. Doesn't have to be perfect. The only thing is you don't want it too close. And of course, if you do get it too close, you can just take this piece and just glue it on there, or just take a marker and ink it up so nobody sees it. I'm going to use my surface to help hold the cardstock. And then starting with the long side, I'll add some glue right next to the chipboard. Helps loosen up the fibers of the cardstock and helps it get glued on to the edge of the chipboard. I've got this bone folder with a little bevel, and I'm just going to push this so the glue goes right up there. And there we go. And then I'll burnish. There's a little bump right here. Just going to burnish that down. The glue will hold it down, but it's not a big deal. All right, so now here I've got this little extra piece. I'm going to push it down with my bone folder and go across. And there we go. Use my bone folder, push it, and I pull it over with my fingers at the same time. Okay, and then here again, I'll push down that little corner piece. And burnish. Alrighty. Now I'm going to take the blunt end of my bone folder and push down into that crevice to get the two sides of the paper to stick, because we've got double-sided adhesive on both. We'll have it stick there. Okay, now I'm going to grab a piece. I should have cut this ahead of time. I'm going to cut it 5 inches. So I have a piece of the cardstock, 5 inches by 8.5. I'm going to take just a little bit of 1-inch score tape. You could just use glue, but I like the idea of the score tape will hold it down while we're waiting for the glue to dry. Really good job of burnishing it, and then I'll peel off the backing. So now I'll add adhesive. I'll put it in that channel. I don't have to put it in this channel because we still have that double-sided adhesive showing. I'll put some, I don't want it to the very edge because I don't want it to seep over. So I'm about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. Probably being a little more generous with glue here than I would in other places. I'll add some on this side of the chipboard, that side of the chipboard. And then I'll go around the perimeter of this. And I'm trying to work quick because I don't want my, oops, I don't want my glue to dry. Well, that's not a good thing. But you know what? Most of it's not going to show, so I'm not going to worry. I'm just going to sort of justify it over to the left side. I'm going to put the edge of this to the bottom of the paper, the bottom of the book, and the top of it will go where it needs to. I'm going to wipe up my mess real quick. It's not the worst thing in the world. I don't have very much in that spine, in that crevice. And we're going to cover most of that anyhow. Okay, so there you can see I can find where the spine ends and the cover begins. So I'm taking the blunt edge of my bone folder and going back and forth, pushing a little bit harder each time. And I'm also moving the cover of the book up. What I want is this top paper to meet with the glue that we put, the double-sided adhesive that we put down. And there we go. Fold this up. It'll meet. Burnish this down and that down. Unfold that. Get a good stick. Get a good burnish. And there we go. All right, I'm going to let this dry while we get the pages ready. Isn't that pretty? So you can see this seam is right about at the halfway mark. Okay, for the pages, I just have 4 pages in this book. You could probably have 5, but I just have 4. And I'm using a little heavier weight cardstock. This is 110 pound, just because this is what the pages are going to be made out of. This is 5.5 by 8.25. I'm going to take this implement. It's a Cricut stylus. I don't know if they sell it anymore. I don't know if Cricut machines use it anymore, but I've had it for a while. You could use whatever you want, anything with a point to score. So with the 5.5-inch side at the top, I had 6, but I changed it because I changed the measurement because I printed out the paper small. I'm going to score it 1/2 inch. So the important thing when you're doing a hinge or a page is you make sure that the paper goes up to the top and the side. That way you don't get wonky pages. So we'll do that for all 4. Just score it 1/2 inch on the long side. That's all we need to do. Put some of my tools away. I like to do that every 15 minutes or so while I am working. It helps keep my surface clean, and then at the end of the day, I don't have that much to put away. That's the theory anyhow. Plus, I work in a small space, so it is really important that I put things away. And you know, I'm sure, you've heard me say it. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me say it, but I live, travel, and craft in my RV. So when it's time to move, it's just easier for me if I don't have a million things to have to put away. All right, I am taking our 1/2-inch tab on one of the pages and putting glue on it, and I'm going to center it top and bottom, and I'm going to go about 1/4 inch away from the seam, from the edge of the spine to the cover of the book. I'll go ahead and put that on and burnish. I'll do another one. Running out of glue here. Have to get it soon. I really prefer art glitter glue, and if I wait too long, they won't be able to ship it anymore. Put that down and burn it. And I put it just to the right-hand side of where our other piece is. So here's the edge of this page. I'm going to put it right, butted up against that. So you can't tell where this one ends because it's right up against it. It's not overlapping it, it's butted up against it. Okay, so now this is the last piece, and instead of doing it with our flap going to the right, our flap is going to the left. I'm going to add my glue, and we're going to do it a little differently. Where we butted up the other ones right up to the edge of this one we're going on top of the last one. So just goes, this ½ inch goes onto the ½ inch tab of the last one. Once I get it on, then I'll burnish. And I'll go back and burnish this. Burnish this. I know some other people will put, they'll score it at ½ inch and then at 5/8. So there's just a small little score next to it to allow for some movement. Probably if I was doing a real big, thick mini album, I'd do that. But in this case, it's not that important. So now we've got our signatures in, we can start adding some of our features. I've already cut out some of the papers. Okay, so for the inside front cover, we're going to have a pocket. I cut this, so our cover is 6 inches. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, so you add an inch and then I took off a quarter, so it's 6 3/4 by 4. It was just a scrap from somewhere else. I'm going to score on 3 sides, 2 short and 1 long side. So I'll start with the 6 3/4 at the top, score at ½ inch, rotate, score at ½ inch, rotate, score at ½ inch. I'll go ahead and take my scissors and cut across the X that we made with our 2 score lines. And if you want, you can miter the top. I've gotten pretty lazy about mitering lately. So sometimes I will and sometimes I won't. Now this we're going to put on the inside front cover. Since it's a little bit smaller, I'd prefer to wait until we've got the paper to put the whole thing on. I'm just going to put the bottom on right now. So I'm going to take it and add glue to the bottom tab, center it on here. The reason I cut this smaller is I don't want it to get in the way of our opening. I guess I should have burnished on our score lines. And then if you want, you could put a piece of tape on that to keep it down, but I'm just going to hold it down like that. I guess I'll burnish it a little bit more. So there's the pocket for our inside front cover. That really is most of it. I mean, I'm going to decorate it as I go. So what I've done is cut a piece. Our cover is 8 1/2 by 6, so I cut a piece that's 8 3/8. Ooh, I know I cut it too small. I was thinking it was 8. It needs to be 8 3/8 by 5 7/8. It's 8 1/2. So it's 8 3/8. I just cut off a smidgen. I'm going to ink this. I've got this distress stain in black soot, and I'm just going to go around the edges and ink this a little bit. So I needed to use the orange paper because the paper that I cut for the cover is not that big. So I need to add a couple of layers to sort of stretch that paper. All right, now that I've gotten a really good black on there, I'm going to take Distress Oxide and Black Soot. So this comes out a little gray. The oxide is a little, yeah, it's just a little grayer in my mind. And I don't have any of the Distress ink. I've run out of it. And I don't think I can put this on. The one that you can use to re-ink it has the you know, the little medicine drop topper kind of thing. All right, I've printed this piece. Do I want to have black underneath this is my question. I sort of feel like I do. So let me cut this a little bit smaller. So this is now 5 1/4 and 8 1/4, so I need to cut it. I'm going to go 7 3/4 by 5, 7 3/4. No, 8 by 5 1/2. Oh, it's 5 1/4. 5 1/4. Let's see where that is. Seven and 7/8 by 5 1/4. So this has to be 5 3/8 by 8. Does that give me a teeny little border? What do you think? Very teeny. I'm going to cut a little smidgen off of this paper. And there we go. I'm going to ink this a little bit. Just to add, just so we don't see the white showing. You may notice this is really flimsy. I printed this on copy paper. I didn't mean to, but I'm going to use it. The color isn't as good as when I printed on my cardstock, but it'll do. It's for the cover. The cover's going to have lots of layers on it, so it's okay. Okay, and then I can put that on here. I try to put the glue as close to the edge as I can when I am adding something to a cover. Actually, when I'm covering anything. And there we go. Now, before I glue this down, I have to decide if I'm going to put ribbon on here. Sort of feel like I want to. I've got the black ribbon on the other one. Let me go get that. All right, so I've got two ribbons, a orange and a black. I'm going to use them both. I'm going to add a little glue, which I refilled, by the way. And I'll just put the black over the orange. I don't want the, and then I'll add another piece of tape. I don't want the orange to be predominant because it's not exactly the right color. Not that that's a big deal. I'll add another piece of tape. All right, for the inside front cover, I'm going to first put this down. This is just plain orange cardstock. And I inked up the edges with Distress Black Soot Oxide. So I put that down, and then I'm going to put this down. You can see there's some orange on both sides of it. That's okay. And then I have another piece of orange cardstock for the pocket. And what I'm going to do is just go through and add pattern paper, and then I'll go through later and decorate it. So we had one piece that I cut in half and I inked the bottom. This will just tuck inside, and this will go on the bottom. I could probably cut off a little bit of the, and then I will glue this on. And I'll glue this. So you can see this item, this paper doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the page. If you want to cut one that does, that's okay too. So that's the inside back cover. Okay, for the front of page 1, so I have this little piece I'm going to add to it and ink a little bit. It already has the brown inking from the collection. That's how it's made. But I added black soot because I'm going to do that for all of it, and that way it stays consistent. I'm not going to put anything on the back yet. I did take a piece of paper that's 1/8 of an inch or so bigger, and I scored it at 1/2 an inch. I'm going to burnish this and add this to the top of the book. That's okay that the glue is showing, because next I'm going to take this piece, which measures, it's about 4 7/8 by 8. Don't forget this is 8 and a quarter. I think it's 8 1/4. And we'll just add that there. Oh, I should have told you. So I'm not going to put a magnet on here. I could have, but it's such a small flap. I don't really feel it needs it, as long as it lays down flat. It should be okay. So there we have the first page in. And like I said, I'll still decorate a little bit more, but just not right now. Okay, for the front of page 1, so I have this little piece I'm going to add to it and ink a little bit. It already has the brown inking from the collection. That's how it's made. But I added black soot because I'm going to do that for all of it, and that way it stays consistent. I'm not going to put anything on the back yet. I did take a piece of paper that's 1/8 of an inch or so bigger, and I scored it at 1/2 an inch. I'm going to burnish this and add this to the top of the book. That's okay that the glue is showing, because next I'm going to take this piece, which measures, it's about 4 7/8 by 8. Don't forget this is 8 and a quarter. I think it's 8 1/4. And we'll just add that there. Oh, I should have told you. So I'm not going to put a magnet on here. I could have, but it's such a small flap. I don't really feel it needs it. As long as it lays down flat, it should be okay. So there we have the first page in. And like I said, I'll still decorate a little bit more, but just not right now. For the next pages, we're going to use these. I love these. I love these bugs. Cara, who designed the paper, really found some cool specimens. And I love the colors that she has made, how it's changed with the kit. Like, let me see if I can find it on here. Pretty sure it was on here. Look at that pretty blue, rainbowy, iridescent looking one. So cool. That was another one I did with the turquoise kit. But I love the orange. So you may have noticed that this paper is a little bit too small for the book. It doesn't give me an even margin. Have you noticed it? Well, if you haven't noticed it, no one else will. All right, that's what I'm going to do for that. I'll go ahead and grab the paper for the next page. All right, so I have two pieces that are 5 1/8 by 5. What we have is these two tags. Since the page is 8 1/4, that in half is 4 1/8. So I add an inch because we need 1/2 an inch on each side. So 5 1/8 by 5. So with the 5 1/8 side at the top, score it 1/2 an inch, rotate, score it 1/2 an inch, rotate again, and score it 1/2 an inch. We'll do the same for this. There's 5 1/8, 1/2 an inch, and another score. Now I'll grab my scissors and miter and we'll fold and burnish on the score lines, and then I'll show you where we're going to put it. All right, so I folded and burnished on the score lines. I'm going to turn this way. So what I want to do is put this down, make sure, why does it look bigger? I'm going to, it's going to be, mine's going to be a 1/16 of an inch over. I'm going to mark where the center is here and add glue to one. Not sure why it came out a little bit bigger, but that's okay. And then the folded edge is going to be on the paper right next to the spine. And then we'll put this one right next to that, just butt it up right next to it. And I'm just gluing down the bottom tab for now. And then I'm going to put paper here. I'm going to use one piece and I'm going to cover, just have an inch, and then the rest of it will cover the other piece. I guess I could cut two pieces. I have two pieces. Was I going to use this? I was. Let me just do that. I can always print more if I need to. So I'm going to just glue this one down. And then I'll glue these down. And I'll cut this to cover these. So I've added this piece. It is 5/8 of an inch wide. You can't really see it once we cover this. So I'm going to add glue to the other 4 tabs. And I glue them down. And then add this orange ticking. I did ink around these edges. And there we go. So we've got these 2 pockets to add our little tags in. All right, and so let's look at this page we're going to do next. So this is stacked pockets, and really it's only 2 pockets. This is the page, here's a pocket, here's a pocket, and then this is just a piece of ephemera I just glued on some cardstock and glued it on 3 sides. So I call it a cheater pocket. I mean, it's a pocket, but it's not this pocket or this pocket or this. And the other thing is, so for this page, you notice I'm using the gingham. The gingham actually matches with this page, and this is going to be for the next page. I'm not putting these together. I like this gingham as a detail with our ticking here. So let's take, to make the pocket, 2 pieces of cardstock. One is 6.5 by 4, and one is 6.5 by 3.5. Whoops, I did it the wrong way, but it just, is it 6.5? What is our page? I might have to change. Oh, yeah, our page is 5, so it needs to be 6 by 4 and 6 by 3.5. So let me trim this down. Because the other book, I think I used bigger pages. Okay. All right. So for the bigger one, we're going to score it with the long side at the top, score it half, rotate, score it half, rotate, and score it half again. And for the smaller one, 6-inch side at the top, score it half, and then score at 5.5. So we will cut across the X, do the same here. And this, we're just going to miter the 4. Actually, probably don't have to do the ones on the bottom, but and we'll fold and burnish on our score lines. Okay, we'll start with this that has the 3 tabs, and we'll put glue on the bottom one only, so the one in the center. Put that on the page. The sun's starting to come in. I'm going to have to change that, my lighting. Okay, now we have this one with the tabs on the side, but nothing on the bottom. And just figure out your placement. I want it to be about equal the size of, I mean, you can have it down lower or up higher, but I want it to be centered between the top of this and the top of the page. So I'm going to go like that, drawing a line so I know where. Add some glue to our tab, and we'll put this down. Let's burnish. And then we'll glue these down as well. So there is that. So now I used, you notice I didn't do a good job of cutting, so I'm just going to ink up the edges, and you'll never notice. So I cut this piece at the top. I'm going to cut it about 2.5 inches. The pocket goes down, it's 2.5, so I'll do a little more. We'll do 2 3/4. So I'll add glue to this. I didn't ink the bottom because nobody's going to see it. And stick that in the pocket. Oops, what did I do? I should have double checked to make sure it was going to fit. Oops, still a little too big. There. And then I added a piece of, all right, this fits here. But this doesn't fit for the whole page. But first of all, let me cut it down. I'm turning this, I'm going to cut a little bit off the top. I'm going to cut about 1/4 inch. Keep that. I'll ink up the edges here. And so here I need about 3 3/8. And so that'll fit here. I've turned it upside down because we're going to cover most of it. Sometimes it's hard to see. There we go. And then I've got this small piece. So I'm going to actually not use that. I'm going to take the ticking, or the, what is this? Gingham. Put it at the very top here. And then cut some of this off. And that'll go there. Once I ink it up, it'll be perfect. So that's what I'll do next. And then add it to the page. I'll add the bottom pocket once I go through and do my final adding ephemera. Okay, this next page, it has the page that opens. It also has this piece with the roses that are cut out. This one has a flap with a magnet, and that opens like that. And in the decorating, we might find something and make a tuck spot. So, so we need to make flaps for both of these pages first. And what I'm doing simply is taking the leftover cardstock once I cut the main page. So it's 8 1/4 by 5 is what I have. You may have a different size because remember I changed the sizing. So with the 5-inch side at the top, we'll score it 1/2 inch. Do that with both pieces. And I don't need to miter, but I will fold and burnish all our score lines. And then add one to the right side and one to the left side of the opposing pages. So I'll add this one to the left. And this one to the right. All right, let's figure out what the measurement is going to be for this. So this is now 4 1/2. I'm going to cut this down to, going to take a little off of this side and then some more off of that side. And we'll cut it 4 3/8. There we go. Ink up the edges. And then what I'm going to do is grab some packing tape. This is heavy duty. It's the Duck brand, but it doesn't matter what brand. I'm actually going to get 2 pieces that are about 4 inches wide, a little less. And I'm going to cut across these roses. So I'm going to try to make sure I cover most of where that is. There's one piece. And there's the other. And I'm going to grab a little surface to cut on and grab a straight edge. I'm going to start about 1/2 inch in and just cut around the main roses. There's a leaf here. I'm just ignoring that leaf. Coming all the way down to a V where these 2 roses meet. And stopping about 1/2 inch away from the edge there. So there we go. And then what this is going to do is we're going to glue down this piece and around the bottom here. Don't put glue under the roses. So I'll add glue around the perimeter. And then at the top, and a little more at the bottom. you'll see, you can easily see where that tuck spot is for those roses. And we'll add ephemera in there. And then we'll cover this page and the rest of the pages as normal. Oh, we need to have something over here. Let me look through my ephemera and see what I'm going to use. I'm going to use this to make a tag. I want to add some orange to that pumpkin, just so it sort of blends with the orange there. So I'm using, what is this? Grape persimmon. I'm going to add a little frayed burlap. I need sort of a brownish color. I don't know if that will work, but we'll try. I've got a little bit of water in a spritz bottle and a brush, which has purple on it. That's interesting. It should be a little bit better. I'm trying to, again, match that. I'm adding lumberjack plaid. Okay, that's all I'm going to do with that. And then I will take this piece. I just made it about half an inch bigger than the piece of ephemera we have. And I'm going to add this onto, sort of near the top, but onto that base page. Make sure it's straight across. You want to make sure the page will still open, so don't get down too far. And then I'll glue this on. It says buy your flowers, and it's got flowers there. That's why I decided to use it. And then I'm going to add a magnet. So I have these magnets. These are 1/4 inch magnets. I have them listed in the description. I buy them in bulk. They don't have adhesive, but they're much more inexpensive than the regular magnets you would get, like the basic gray ones. They're just as thin. So I'm going to put it there. I'll leave that score tape backing on. I'll take the matching one. I'll add a drop of glue to the top of it. Put it down to C. Wipe that glue off. And now I know where the other piece of tape needs to be. Take that, and then there we go. So we have the two magnets on with tape. I'll add some extra glue while I'm gluing it. So let's see what we're going to use here. All right, I think I want to stick with the orange theme, so I'll put, or the rose theme, the flowers. I'll put that inside. This one I'll have to cut down. That will go there. I've got this. So we've got the roses, we've got some bugs, we've got spiders. I think I'm going to print another thing out and I'll glue that down and show you what I came up with. All right, so we've got this, which is just a flap. There's a magnet in it. You can probably hear it click. And then we've got this piece, which we've made into got a window, and it's raised a little bit so you can easily slide a tag in and out. Honestly, the best thing would be to put a photo on here, and then it would slide in and out like that. Wouldn't that be fabulous? But I needed a focal point until there's a photo, so I put that there. So let's get some paper on here. And really, it's just a matter of gluing the paper and then adding the piece onto the top. Oops. Either I need to cut it smaller or make sure it's right at the edge, which it is. The paper I cut is just a little bit bigger. Actually, let me glue on this piece. So this is, since the page is 8.5 by 6, this is 8 3/8 by 5 7/8. At least that's what the orange is. And then I cut the smaller piece approximately 1/8 of an inch smaller. I mean, sometimes with digitals, it doesn't come out exactly right. I'm still learning. So I'm still trying to get the sizes to print out the way I want. So just a little trial and error. Do I want this to go? This would open this way. You know what? I'll just cut this down. And we'll make it, I'm making it 3 1/8. 3. And then this could be 2 7/8. Wait, which way do I want it? This is 4 1/4. So this will be 4 by 2 7/8. I think. We'll find out if I'm right. Okay, good. That works. I wanted the orange on there because we have orange on the opposing page, and I just wanted to have it look consistent. Now, I'm not going to put the paper inside yet. I'm going to add a magnet inside first. This goes here. And I'm also going to, this is smaller than the one I did before, but that's okay. I'm going to have it as a tuck spot, so I will just add glue to the sides and the bottom. And then I'm going to put it down on the page so we have room for that tuck spot, but I'll center it in the bottom portion of the page. I'll just let that sit like that, and then I'll add something here. And oh, I tied this in the back because it kept bothering me. I cut this piece. Will that fit? Yep. This pattern paper doesn't have a center line in it. You know, it doesn't show you where the page ends and begins for the second part of the page. What am I trying to say? When you print it out, it's like this, and there's that dark area in the center, and that this page doesn't have it, but there is writing on it, so you have to make sure you get it the right way. And then I'll add something to the spine, and then I'll go through and do my final decorations and show you what I have come up with. but pretty cool. It's a good start, right? So you have to add things. So I have to just go through and just do all the final details, add magnets to that, put something on here. But that's what we have for you. So I will show you the final decorating when that is done. All right, so if you followed along with me, you've reached this end point, and I'm going to show you the final details that I added. So for the cover, I did print out this. I enlarged it, and also the bingo card. I should have popped this up, but unfortunately I printed it out on printer paper. You know, I could print it out again and just layer it on top just to add some dimension. I added a couple of the labels here. Here's one of the owl cut-aparts. I have a purple doily. In my stash, I had this dimensional moon. It was made from a mold. I think it was Prima, but I'm not positive. Then I have some Graphic 45 enamel dots, and then I took the stickers and scrunched them up, inked them a bit, and added them on with hot glue just for a little dimension. And I had this key in my stash that I added onto here. So let me take you inside. So we have this field notes book, and I have a whole tutorial on that, of course. So that'll open like that. We've got these. We've got the tickets, pictures of bugs, more tickets, the journal with room to rate. That goes in there. We've got that bug put on top of some fun fur in orange. And then in here, this tells a little bit about the person. They have a ticket or ad for Witches Carnival, a picture of their loved ones, and some other things indexed. Did they break their arm and need a new appointment? And did they need some kind of remedies? So that all went into this wallet, I would call it, of the pocket. So this will go like that. There's like a book piece, and there's nothing on the back. It was pretty chunky at this point. So that'll go in like that. This will open up. Did I show you how I made this? Probably not. It's just a simple envelope, and I added some portraits in here. Added some a spider ribbon that I got from Dollar Tree. I guess I had taken this. I can't tell you the measurements. Let me grab a ruler. So it's 4 1/4, so it was 5 1/4. I scored it on both sides, and then it was 1 1/2. I scored it, and 5, and it was an 8-inch piece of paper. So then I did add this kind of closure. We've got these two pieces of ephemera. Ink this up just to match. There's the skull, and this helps keep that skull closed. And of course, that is a tuck spot. I just glued it on a couple of sides. These pieces of ephemera go under this pocket. I did add a little bit of acetate to that transparency. That's our bug paper. I added some vellum as a pocket. I know I should have inked it up some, and I didn't. So these pieces of ephemera can hide in there. Then we take you to this page, and we've got a tag here and a tag there, and obviously I put some of that ephemera on top of it. So this is our stacked pocket. So there's the top pocket, the second layer, and then these are in this pocket. And I added some pom-pom ribbon from Dollar Tree. So I love this, the roses. That is a journaling card or a place to put photos. And in here, there is some photo mats. And I added some ephemera, some of the apothecary labels and different things. This will open like that, room for a photo, and room to put a couple of photos. I printed these out super small. I manipulated the size a little bit and then put them on some orange cardstock. This will open like that with room for a couple of photos, and I did make it a tuck spot by gluing it down on the sides and the bottom. And then we have this this was the last page. I just added one of our corner pockets, a piece of ribbon, that as a photo mat, another frame, and just a couple of pieces of miscellaneous ephemera. So that is it. That is how I made this album done in with the orange collection. I've already made this one done in the purple collection, and I do have this bug sort of traveler's notebook done with the teal. Love these collections. Don't forget to check out Cara Brandon Creations on Etsy, and please like and subscribe. A lot of you do not subscribe to my site. I have a lot of new things going on, so don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And finally, have a fabulous day.